than we've seen on this camera. But, dude, I myself have been following the Fast and Furious franchise for far, far, far more time than I can extend this alliteration.
The Fast and Furious is like your Harry Potter.
Fast and Furious is like my Batman.
That's like the funniest thing
And
I've
now-
heard.
Hey, you know
Now
what?
there's
You
the
know what?
same amount of movies. 8.
There's eight Harry Potters.
Yeah,
It's all
there's
coming
Harry Potter
together now.
movies.
Yeah.
8 Harry Potters, 8 Fast
Full
and Furious.
circle.
It is a match made in heaven. It was meant to be. I'm talking, of course, about the Fate of the Furious, the latest installment of the Fast and Furious franchise from Vin Diesel and Jeremy Lin. Was he the director of this one?
No, was it?
No, this one was F. Gary Gray, right?
Yeah,
F. Gary Gray. That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. F. Gary Gray is taking it over. Jeremy Lin did the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dude, I am not disappointed. I have been not just a viewer, a follower, but a fan of this franchise, which has changed several times over the years.
Yeah.
And this latest installment has just added to the legacy of Fast and Furious movies are always bigger than they were before.
Yeah.
They're always more extreme, always more convoluted, to be honest.
Well, the reason they can do that now is because this was the biggest opening week or weekend in movie history, beating out Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
So these things are printing money, which is like, to me, it's good and it's bad. It's good that it's like, yay, diversity, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, women, people of color, a black director, like, this is really great that the movie's this popular and it has such a diverse cast. The downside for me is that I don't really enjoy it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a great movie, you know what I mean?
I thought you were right there with this.
No, it's not my favorite. I mean, I liked Fast 5 a lot. I think that's the best one in the series, and it's one I actually enjoy. But I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So I don't think it's going to get.
It's the safe scene, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And Fast.
That was well done.
Oh, it was.
But it's like fat Vin Diesel in that one too, wearing all white. It's like, oh, it's not your color, bro.
Vin Diesel caught a lot of he caught a lot of flack from that one.
Seeing the creases,
He put on a few pounds. He wasn't the same like cut and muscular Vin Diesel.
Right.
You know what?
He was a little doughy, and he looked like a half drank carton of milk in that one. I'm just saying.
I'd be really curious to see if his weight gain lined up with the national, or it's either the national or international D&D thing.
You think
convention.
he's a player?
Yeah, he is a player.
Oh, yeah.
Vin Diesel's a
He's
dungeon
hardcore
master.
player.
Really?
Wow, I didn't know that.
By
Yeah.
the way, I didn't know
You didn't know
this.
that?
This is-
You didn't
Documented.
know that?
That and Street
What?
Sharks. That's
It's
all
on
I
I'm
know.
glad I
video.
could bring that
Right.
up.
There's like a video series, YouTube series of him playing D&D with like a bunch of other. I think
There's one with him
celebrities.
playing with Alice Cooper, because Alice Cooper is a dungeon master too.
That's
Okay,
right.
that I can see. Alice Cooper, yeah, he's got cred, but Vin Diesel surprises me. That's a new one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He knows how to beat E.T.
How to be E.T.?
Beat the game.
Beat E.T.
The Atari game.
The worst game of all time?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah. That's not that hard. You hit eject, you put it over the trash, and you let go.
He's probably the only one I've ever
And
heard
then you
play
set
the
the can on
game.
fire.
It's just surprising that the fact that this bouncer at one point in life is like playing D&D games. Like he
People
just
forget
finished
he was
cracking a couple guys'
he was
heads
a
and he
big
goes
thing
play
in
D&D.
those
like,
late '90s, early aughts. You know, he was.
Okay, well,
quite-
I'm happy to hear that, yo, because it's like we talked earlier about you never know who's a geek.
Yeah.
Who's a nerd, who's out there, who's like dorky to that level. And now, to this day, learn new things.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel might be kindred. You know, which
the
is
Iron
awesome.
Giant himself, yeah.
The Iron Giant himself.
But this movie is like over the top
Oops.
ridiculous too.
This movie is beautiful, man, because they have completely ignored the laws of physics, and that's
yeah,
a beautiful
man.
thing.
I mean, come on.
They ignored the laws of a lot of things, and my biggest pet peeve is like all of a sudden these guys are street racers and they just like race cars, talk some smack, family, drink some beers, and all of a sudden like without explaining it from movie to movie they just become international safe crackers. They could do anything they want. They're just
were
like all of a
talking
sudden
about it earlier.
they
They became
never
the superheroes.
explained
They
how they
became the
learned
X-Men.
this, but it's just like how do you go from driving a car to being able to crack one of the hardest safes in the world without no explanation, anything. There's no logic there.
You
So
drive the car into the safe.
yeah, that would have made more sense than how they actually did it. So,
I didn't like the movie too much. Honestly, I just felt like it was overdone. But honestly, that opening scene was crazy.
Yeah, that's one thing that really confuses me, the fact that you didn't like the movie.
I thought it was it's the same formula over and over, bro. There's no real difference. They just find us nothing new under the sun with
I
that.
beg to differ, and the fact that it's different every time. I mean, granted, yes, it's always this crew and they're doing some mission that they didn't really want to do to begin with.
We don't want to get into because me and you had that crazy argument in the car.
Yeah, but
where I pontificated how
all right. To anyone
Letty is Jesus Christ, basically. You know what I'm saying? I just want everybody to know that she resurrected herself from whatever. I don't even know.
It wasn't Sunday Easter opening.
Right, let me just clarify for anyone who's unfamiliar with this. We're talking about The Fate of the Furious. This is the 8th installment of the Fast and Furious movie franchise. And now for a kicker. I just want to point out for people who have never seen or who are unfamiliar with the entire progression of the franchise, I want to read you a couple of things. This is the description of the very first The Fast and the Furious movie back in 2001. Los Angeles police officer Brian O'Connor must decide where his loyalty really lies when he becomes enamored with the street racing world he has been sent undercover to destroy. Simple story about a cop infiltrating street racers. They race in the street. Period. All right. To the plot synopsis of the latest Fate of the Furious movies. With Dom and Letty married, Brian and Mia retired, and the rest of the crew exonerated, the globe-trotting team has found some semblance of normal life. They soon face an unexplained challenge when a mysterious woman named Cypher forces Dom to betray them all. Now, they must unite to bring home the man who made them a family and stop Cypher from unleashing chaos. Cypher is after a nuclear submarine and the the God's Eye satellite that can see everything on Earth.
And they need this street racer to do it. Yeah,
they stopped being street racers a long time ago.
Cypher is played by Charlize Theron, so everybody knows.
And that's my big thing with her too. Is like she was very underused in this movie. She's a great action star, but she is kind of boring in this. I don't think she had a lot to do.
I like the menace that her name carried, but her actual presence on screen in this one was very lacking. I did notice that. I'm glad you said it. I highly agree. But
flat, yeah.
These movies have gotten into the I want to say kind of the rut of introducing a new character, and then eventually as the movies progress, they'll find a way to link them in. They did it with her in a way that made it. It wasn't clever, but it made sense tying into the previous movie. We wanted to know why the hell Jaimon Hunsu was there in the first place, and now he finds out he was her customer. So when they screwed up his affairs, they screwed up her affairs.
So what do you think of the way it ended?
This one or the last one?
This one, the Fate.
You know what? I've always said that I don't mind the way the Fast and the Furious movies have gotten bigger and bigger in each one, and they couldn't possibly top themselves, and then they proved me wrong.
Yeah.
This one was no exception, and I loved every second of it. These fools are, I mean, no spoilers. It's in the friggin' commercials.
Yeah.
But these fools have gotten every type of vehicle. It's like wacky races.
That's why I watch it too. It's just for the cars.
Oh, absolutely. It's ridiculous. And they're driving across ice, like some frozen part of the ocean.
It's just such a ridiculous thing to just look at. You're like, this makes no sense. Like, what is going on? Yeah. I guess that's some of the appeal too.
Well, here's the thing: if you've seen the posters and they don't make sense to you, why these guys are driving in these different vehicles against some looks like an obelisk.
Tank thing.
Yes. Well, it's like just this huge wall of explosions behind them. That's because they are racing a nuclear submarine across the frozen tundra. One dude in a tank, another dude in a Lamborghini. This is the spectrum of vehicles we're talking about in the one scene. And The Rock, who's gone from just a cop who is going to be the no-nonsense police officer who's going to end all this BS, he is slapboxing a torpedo.
And he's an accomplice now. He's like full on. I'm just going to throw my career away to help out these guys.
And that is not an exaggeration. That is just a spoiler I wanted to throw out to show you the sheer ridiculousness.
You see what I'm saying?
Punches a torpedo in the face that it doesn't have.
I don't even know what to say.
I love these movies so much. I really do.
I just don't.
My nerd boner can be seen from space right now. That is how much appreciation I have for where this franchise has gone. I also, just to get back to the actual proper review portion of this, I noticed that they've gotten really into the concept of family. I feel that this
now, no, that's always been.
Well, we know. They really story. they really forced it down our throat in this one, where everyone said at least like 3 times, which that didn't happen before.
You're gonna turn your back on family.
Well, it used to always just come from Vin Diesel, and I got the sense for most of this movie that this was going to be the last one in the installment.
Yeah.
Nah.
And well, no, here's my theory that
I did too.
When they started writing this, they had been greenlit. I feel this one's written around like 6, and they started writing it around then when only those 8 movies had been greenlit. So this was going to be the end all be all, because a lot of the dialogue seemed like when they're trying to wrap up a TV show really quickly or a book, a comic book line you've been reading, they've been canceled. So those last couple of issues try to tie everything together. That's how a lot of the dialogue felt for the first 2/3 of this. Oh, you're gonna turn your back on family? I can't believe he did this. He's family. Oh my God, they're family. Why are they doing this to us? And then
take a drink every time they say family. You won't walk out.
You will die. Yeah, do not, listeners. But
great drinking game.
Well, it seemed like a lot of characters were saying things out of character.
Yeah.
Especially with Letty and especially with Tej and Tyrese's character, and Roman.
Yeah,
because they've made them pretty much like the Laurel and Hardy of Fast and Furious. It started off with them. One was a badass. One was just the guy who, man, I don't race anymore because I've seen some stuff and I got in an accident. And now they're like jumping out of planes. and anyways, they've changed the dynamic, and that's one thing I felt normally in any other series would ruin it for me.
Yeah.
With Fast and the Furious, it's kind of helped to keep it fresh because the stories are still interesting. The fact they go exponentially bigger than every previous movie. Dude, this is a win for
eventually me. I feel like they're gonna just do a crossover event and just have them drive Transformers. And then next thing you know, they're gonna have partnered with like specific appropriate Transformers to their specific personality.
Man,
I just see that happening, dog.
And then they can form like Megazord, like in
Yes.
Power Rangers.
Awesome. Good point.
Oh
That
my
would be
God,
awesome.
yes. I did notice that each of the vehicles in this in that final
Fit
big
their
chase,
personality.
it fit their personality
Yeah.
and it had a different color scheme.
Yo,
Next thing is to give them that color
and
uniform.
quick thing for the show, they were the first movie to film in Cuba.
Really?
In a long time. They were the first major action film to film in Cuba.
Wow, man.
That opening scene. That's why I loved it so much, because it's like,
No
I
embargo
want
anymore.
to go to Cuba bad.
And there wasn't a cameo by Desi Arnaz. What the hell? They can just
Helen
like,
Mirren was in the movie, though. That's not a spoiler.
Okay, that's the thing I want to touch on. Yeah, Adam, you noticed Helen Mirren in this movie. Okay, how did you feel about her performance?
I just can't believe she was in it.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's what it was.
Like,
So I was
oh,
like, she did that movie Red, I remember. So she likes
yeah.
to branch out and do these things. It's always good to see Helen Mirren.
Well,
Yeah.
Helen Mirren, I can understand.
Classes up the place a little bit for sure.
In the role they had her playing in this one, that was actually not
Right.
one of our hot, most prestigious roles.
No, I don't think so. She won an Oscar. I think she's
I'm
slumming
upset
a little.
with that because they really pushed Helen Mirren. Oh, Helen Mirren's in this one now. It's gonna be huge. Dude, they got Helen Mirren, dog. Helen Mirren's gonna. And you get an actor of the caliber of Helen Mirren, you want them to do something like legit. If you're going to see this movie because Helen Mirren's been introduced, you're pretty much being played.
Yeah.
She was her
like having-
role was poignant but minuscule.
Right. It's like having Juliette Binoche in Godzilla. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, no,
it was
very
just so
well
weird
said.
to see them. And I don't know.
It was Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Damn, was there such a or was it just Godzilla?
He was in Godzilla as well.
No, I
Yeah,
know. Was it Godzilla something? I forget. It's been
No,
a
it was
couple
just
years.
Godzilla.
Just
the
Godzilla,
Just
remake.
Godzilla?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like Bryan Cranston in Godzilla.
Mhm.
They're there. They do something necessary,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's negligible. You go to the movie for them,
Yeah,
and you
it's
feel like you've been taken. But regardless, I had such a good time during this movie. They've really crammed the idea of family down your throat, which has a purpose, but it got a little silly.
Yeah.
But I still like these characters. This is a movie that you go in, you're not expecting to think. It's not cerebral. You want to see explosions, you want to see cars, you want to see cool vehicles, you want to see stunts.
People
This delivered-
punching torpedoes.
People punching torpedoes is an added bonus. I had such a good time in this because it got progressively stupider, but so fun. All right, am I alone? You all have kind of gone silent here.
I don't know. They try to pass off style for substance. It's not really my thing. I can go in and enjoy it, but like I said, it's not the franchise that I'm like attached to in any way. So I can do with or without. So it's not really for me, but I can see its appeal. I would say
for
that.
me,
so,
for
but
me,
it's
it
not
was
for
just
me.
like a Netflix thing. Like I wish that's something I would watch in a Netflix movie. You know what it is? It's not that I didn't love it. Remember, we grew up with this thing,
Yes, we did.
and I fell in love with the first 2 movies because they were actually really good and they were for what they're for. But
They were simple
they're
car
just,
racing movies.
they've become the X-Men, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right.
All of a sudden, Tyrese.
But they are
is like,
printing money, that's for sure. They are.
You
making
gotta
money,
get them.
so,
You gotta give it to
yeah.
them.
All right.
And you know what it is too? It's just for the hardcore car guy. It's like a showcase of like the most immaculate cars you're ever gonna see in your life.
Right.
This is true. Yeah, everyone has more impressive vehicles.
Yeah.
And this one didn't shy away from it. There was Bentleys, there was Lamborghinis, all this stuff. They've still
You think F.
maintained
Gary
that.
Gray's gonna come back and do another one? Because it was solidly done. I'll admit that.
Yeah, both him and Jeremy Lin, I thought have elevated the franchise to
They're quality directors, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. And I remember how silly it was when I thought the most ridiculous thing in these movies was when they jumped a car off the dock to land on a boat.
Ejectocito.
Yeah.
Ejectocito.
That's my favorite.
And oh man, it was beautiful. Okay, well, anyway, Fast, The Fate of the Furious. This one gets my definite thumbs up. I love Jason Statham. I love Luke Evans. Their new additions. I loved all of it, almost all of it. And at one point, I can culminate the whole thing to one sentence. At one point, it was raining cars. No exaggeration, cars from the sky.
It was.
Thumbs up, gentlemen.
Thumbs up. Good action movie.
It's a good thing that Harry Potter opened the way for, serial episodic movies like that for you.
Ooh,
Harry,
good
didn't
transition.
Shameful. Shameful.
I'm
You
a
should be ashamed of
Slytherin.
yourself.
I'm a Slytherin. Just because I'm ambitious and I like attention doesn't mean I'm a supervillain.
You're the
Really?
Overlord. There's a difference.
You have multicolored hair and you're
Overlord
in this,
Jess, all praise.
Okay, where'd your nose go? See what I did there? I was paying attention. All right. All right.
We need to tie him down and give him a Potter intervention.
Oh, stop it.
Just tape his eyelids.
Just
over.
watch the third one. That's how I'll catch it. Harry Potter 3. It could be its own thing outside of. Just watch the third one.
I'll do that. Okay, but mind you, this is a recommendation. If this
If
thing
you
sucks,
really
I'm
want to
coming for
watch,
you.
if you really want to get
Alright.
dark, just go from Goblet of Fire, the fourth one, fifth,
The
Fourth.
fourth one.
fourth one up. Oh my god, it got serious.
It's so
Serious.
All right.
Ralph Fiennes sold that show, man. I'm
Okay.
serious. I'm
Oh,
probably
no.
one of his best roles.
All right. I'll take these recommendations seriously. I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah.
All right, as long as you go and watch.
If you don't like
Fast
Voldemort
and
as a
Furious.
person, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Wait, you're not supposed to. He who must not be named.
I loved him.
All right.
He was the best part of that movie.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm gonna check these things out. You watch Fast and the Furious, the first one,
It's a
and
deal.
then Furious 7, and then compare notes. All right. So this has been the Geek